Are there any specific installation considerations such as subfloor requirements for each type of flooring?
Oh, is this for me? Oh, good Lord.
Yeah, I'm not gonna answer that. That's too hard. There's lots of them.
Yeah, the 3/4 inch, the last I think I read is it cannot be less than 5/8 of an inch subfloor.
You're talking about a hard, solid floor
Three-
can't be
3/4
nailed to
inch.
less than 5/8.
5/8 of an inch.
What do you think about that?
I wouldn't go less than 3/4 myself.
But you're putting down 3/4. Why
I know,
do you,
but
could you go over 1/2 inch?
Well, even with a 2-inch staple, it will actually penetrate through a 3/4 inch floor. So now you got the staple sticking out. The 5/8. I know we're only talking 1/8 of an inch, but I wouldn't go less than a 3/4.
I wouldn't unless I was using cabin grade floor. If I had a lot of shorts, then I would really want the thicker subfloor. But if you're using a lot of long boards and you're bridging those trusses, but that's just my opinion.
The vinyl, I don't know that there's any requirements on the vinyl.
But you wouldn't want less than
I would
3/4.
want
You
3/4
don't have
just for the flex.
Right.
Obviously,
stable.
concrete's neither here nor there. The engineered really would depend on the engineer. I probably wouldn't use a 5/8 or less on it if I was going to staple it or nail it.
Another requirement or consideration that we have to take into consideration is moisture levels. When we're dealing with solid wood floors, the moisture content of the subfloor needs to be within 5% of what the hardwood is. If it's a wider board or a harder species like a hickory, wider board, 5-inch, really needs to be within 3%. You can say, okay, well, I'll just acclimate my flooring. Well, that's fine if the moisture levels in your subfloor are within reason. But if they're high and you acclimate your flooring, now your flooring's going to be high. Now when you install that floor, it's wet, you turn on the air conditioner, suck all the moisture out, all your floors are going to have crack, all your boards are going to have crack between them. Okay? So we really need, if we're installing a solid wood floor, get that moisture down to 12% or so. You can go a little more than that, but not much more regionally. Get down to about 12%. And then if you're using a wide plank, it's okay to acclimate your wood to that 12%. Don't acclimate your wood to 18 or 20%.
No.
You're going to have problems, okay? But if your wood's 6%, which is about what it was when it was milled, if your wood's 6 and your subfloor is 12, yeah, now acclimate it and let it come up, because it's not realistic that you're going to get that subfloor under 10 long term, even with air conditioning going. Would you agree with that?
And then, obviously, if it's a concrete floor as a subfloor, either use the vinyl or the engineered hardwood.
Yeah, if you're doing a floating hardwood over concrete, you need to use an underlayment that has a moisture barrier. Okay, you got to tape some of the, you can tape the joints over concrete. You don't tape those joints if you're going over a wood subfloor, because we want moisture to migrate through. But if you're going over a concrete or cement floor with a floating floor, tape those joints in your underlayment, keep that moisture down there where it can't hurt anything.
I agree.
That's about the only thing we have to know about, isn't it?
I think so.
He mentioned earlier about if you're over a wood floor, certainly in Vantech, sometimes you're getting some ridges in the wood, so it's good to take a sander and minimize those. Just go through and knock the high spots down. And we used to do this all the time with vinyl. When we were installing sheet vinyl, we always sanded our joints, every one of them, just to cut down on problems later, because a roll good vinyl will telegraph. So if there's any peaks underneath there or even cracks between the boards, they'll telegraph.
Or even a nail hole.
Run nail hole, high nail, right. So it's important that we take floor patch and patch any abscesses. And I would probably do that if they were excessive on an LVP floor anyway. That was a tough question.